From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the evening news blast for April 16th, 2025. LGBTQ Nation is reporting that the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Maine earlier today over the state's refusal to comply with Donald Trump's ban on transgender students participating in school sports, the latest volley in the administration's war on the state. Attacks on transgender rights, and especially those of trans athletes, were central to Trump's 2024 campaign. But Maine Governor Janet Mills, as well as several state agencies, have stood strong in their defense of trans rights in the face of the administration's attacks. At issue is Title IX, which bans discrimination based on sex in education. Democrats, including both Mills and the Biden administration, interpret that to mean that trans students should be allowed to participate in school sports as their gender, that banning them from school sports because of their sex assigned at birth is denying them an equal education for a reason prohibited by Title IX. The Trump administration, as well as many Republicans, argue that trans girls are boys and do not face discrimination based on sex if they're banned from participating in sports with others of their gender. To advance this claim, Trump spent a good part of his campaign lying about trans people, saying that they have impossibly long arms, are taller than the vast majority of the population, and possess super strength, and therefore it would be unfair for them to compete against cis women. In February, Trump signed an executive order called Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports that told federal agencies to get to work to get school districts and states to ban trans athletes from school sports. While the Trump administration is trying to force its interpretation of Title IX on states and local governments, Maine drew Trump's ire more than other states. During a February 21st meeting with Democratic and Republican governors at the White House, Trump singled out Governor Mills, asking whether she planned to comply with his anti-trans executive order. Mills said that her state was complying with state and federal laws. When Trump continued to petulantly insist that Mills comply with his order, the governor told the president, "We'll see you in court." Since that interaction, two federal departments have cut unrelated grants to Maine for low-income kids' food and for prisons in order to pressure the state to cave on the issue. Maine sued the Department of Agriculture for withholding grants for kids' food. When he said, "I am the law, basically we are the law." My jaw dropped, Mills said about Trump. Every fifth grade student knows that there are three branches of government. Well, on Friday, a federal judge ruled that the Trump administration violated federal law by freezing food funding. Now the Department of Justice is suing the state. "We believe they are failing to protect women, and it's not only an important issue in sports, it is a public safety issue," U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement announcing the suit. She said that the Trump administration is considering a move to retroactively pull all the funding that they received for not complying in the past. Mills has refused settlement in the case, saying that the federal law is on Maine's side. This matter has never been about school sports or the protection of women and girls, as has been claimed. It is about states' rights and defending the rule of law against a federal government bent on imposing its will instead of upholding the law, she said in a statement. The Department of Justice lawsuit follows a Department of Education investigation into the state. That's our news blast for this hour. Be sure to download the Live 365 app to take PEP Radio with you wherever you go. Up next is the National Weather Service forecast for the Meadville area here on PEP Radio.